So now as a non-asset freight broker, guess what? You don't own much of anything. No storage facility, no warehouses, no trucks. And although you don't own any of these hard assets, you do own something that could be considered even more important than the assets I just mentioned. And you're building it every single day, through every phone call, every email, every interaction that you're having with your customer. And the interesting thing is that it takes a long time to build it, but a very short time, just a moment, and it can be ruined, blown to smithereens. So now welcome to Quick Tip Monday, episode number 10. You know, a good reputation takes you a long, long way as a freight broker. And a bad reputation, let's just say it'll kill your business. So in today's video, we're discussing how freight brokers build, protect, and maintain top-notch reputations. So now let's get into the business. All right, now, so before we get started, you know I need you to help me out with all of the good stuff. Make sure you hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, and then hit that notification bell just to make sure you don't miss anything. And then if you're not quite sure where to get started at when you start making calls to your shippers, let me help you out with that. Check out my free video titled, What Do I Say to Shippers? And then I'm gonna do you one better than that and leave you my free 5-video series titled, How the Load Movement Process Works, link in the description. So when we're talking about your reputation, we're talking about that thing that walks in the room before you. Someone else's perception of your performance and or your behavior. And unfortunately, even if it's not true, really doesn't matter a whole lot if enough people are saying it. And this is why I think we have to be intentionally focused on building, protecting, and maintaining our most important asset. Here are 3 proven ways on how to do it. So now I just had this thought that came to my mind. Bing! So before I go into what I believe are the key ingredients to building a top-notch reputation, I think it's important that we deal with the builder of the reputation, and that's you. And I think it's important that you ask yourself 4 big questions before you get started. Who you are, what you believe, what you represent, and what you're willing to sacrifice. And once you understand these things about yourself, now you have a foundation to start building that reputation on. And I've heard that a good reputation is more valuable than money. And I can definitely see how that could be because it has nothing to do with money. It's based on you, your character, what you stand for, what you represent, who you are. And this takes us into our core beliefs. Ingredient number 1 to building a top-notch reputation. And a good reputation is not something you turn on and turn off. It's something we're building every single day. And it's directly connected to your core belief systems, what you believe about you, your perspective, your morals, your values, your way of seeing life. Are you a positive person? Do you have a negative outlook on life? What is your thinking? How do you see the world? Because it ultimately determines, it starts to lay the groundwork for your reputation. And this is not just about what you say. It's about what you're doing, what you're practicing, how you're conducting business. How are you treating your customers day in and day out? One of the most basic and critical building blocks of your reputation is your word. How often do you do what you say you're gonna do? When you give your word to someone, is it about, hey, I'm gonna try to make that happen? Or is it you say, hey, I'm gonna give everything I have within me to make sure my word is bond, to make sure I keep my word? Because if you don't have your word, you don't have anything, especially in this business. You're talking to a shipper and you're telling them, this is who I am. And then once you talk to them, you tell them who you are. Now you have a responsibility to go out and do what you say you can do. That's about keeping your word. That's always being true to your word. And I know as an entrepreneur, sometimes we say things that we're not quite sure that we can do yet. But the point is to give it everything that you have to make your word bond. Because that's how you build your reputation. Based on your word, based on doing what you say you're gonna do. And yes, there'll be times where things will happen and you won't be able to keep your word. But if you are 99%er, meaning 99% of the time you do what you say you're gonna do, your customers will understand. And last but not least, be honest and treat other people like you wanna be treated. When you start lying, it makes it much easier to tell the next lie. So don't even go down that rabbit hole. Be honest, be upfront, be open with your customers. Always tell the truth. If you tell the truth, you can't go wrong. And when it comes down to the golden rule, treating other people like you want to be treated, that says enough in and of itself. So now that's what I wanted to share with you today. Hopefully this information has been helpful. Quick tips on building a reputation, something that's going to be very important to you now and as you move forward in your business. So focus and concentrate your efforts on doing what you know is the right thing to do, building a good reputation, a solid reputation that represents you in the way that you should be represented. So I wish you the very best in your life and business. And oh, I almost forgot, this is what my shirt says. All hat and no cattle. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Down south, they have a thing about a person has a really big hat, has a really big truck, really big buckle maybe, but they don't have any cattle. So you want to be about the action. Don't just talk about it. See you at the top because the bottom is much too crowded.